Welcome back to the Highbloo podcast for our second episode. I'm welcoming my friend Antoine. His DJ name is DKA. He will introduce himself right now.
So my name is DKA. I'm a producer since 20 years. I've got my label Out of Border. My production, the range is really large. I produce some ambient music, breakcore music, techno music, house music, even hip hop music. So I'm happy to be here.
Nice. All right. So we're going to start with the first questions. This podcast is about alignment. I think we're going to get a good one with DKA tonight. All right. So first question. If you were the only human on Earth, how would your life look? How would you approach music?
I think it will be the same that I'm doing for the moment because I do music first for myself. The most important to me is to put some story into the music, to put emotions into the music. And my approach is, first of all, make a conceptualization about the music. So I take a piece of paper and I write, this is the theme. So I will talk about this. After that, I do some research. So, for example, if I want to talk about the sun, I will make some research. What in art, every kind of art, even painting, sculpture, stuff like that. What is the relation of the sun about that? And I try to figure it out. I will get this inspiration, this talk to me. And after that, I think about the arrangement. It makes sense to make that kind of arrangement to talk about the sun. And after that, I think about the technique I will use. To produce this arrangement, I need to use this technique. And so I work like that. So, for example, I made a track about and will the future disappear? So I want to talk about the fact that the future is uncertain. So I was thinking, I can do that. I need to do a track which stop really quickly, really dryly. And so I was thinking about the arrangement, and I said, I want to do only a build-up and a climax, no introduction, no end, and I made that for 17 minutes, only a huge build-up for 17 minutes, and then after that we expect the kick, we expect something coming up, and I just stopped the thing because like that you have the intensity of the future, the intensity of the life. You expect something and then stop. This is my approach of the music.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know you were approaching music like that. It's really interesting. So you're the only human on Earth. You would approach the music the same way, but how would your entire life look?
I think if I was the only human on Earth, I'll be a bit sad, because I need interaction with people. But my life, it will be under the sun, I guess, eating healthy or making a bit of sport and taking my time for music. No rush into the production, stuff like that, because if I'm the only one human being, nobody expects the music, so there is no rush. So I will take the time to think a lot about what I'm doing and to put more intention into what I'm doing.
So it makes a difference. So now the fact that we are a crowded planet, you feel like that you are in a rush and you have to follow some kind of rhythm that isn't ultimately yours.
Yeah, of course. In 2026 it's kind of crazy because the music business is totally different. I start in the late 90s, so it was a totally different game, but now we have to put a lot of content, and not especially on music, but we need to release quickly, frequently. And it's the same with the social media. We need to be on the social media and stuff like that, and to post a lot. So I think at the moment nowadays there is a rush, and not especially a rush that we are thinking a label is rushing me or the fans wait for something. It's just if we don't put some stuff on the table all of the time, we are not existing.
So do you think that in some way we're just a bit disconnected to ourselves and so not so much aligned ultimately? How therefore can we find alignment knowing that the world is going through this thing?
Actually, it's an interesting question. 7 years ago, I made kind of a break, not really a full break, but kind of a break. But prior this time, I was was into the music industry, and I was producing a lot, because I need to put a lot on the table. You know, the pressure of the manager, the pressure of getting some bookings, stuff like that. But now, I mean, I'm 41 years old. I just decided to listen to myself, and okay, I keep a rhythm, you know, but if I don't want to release, I don't release. So for example, the last 4 months I released 3 or 4 tracks, like one each month. But now I make a break until the end of the summer because I feel the need to make a break. I mean, it's maybe because I'm getting old, but I want to get an healthy relation with music, and an healthy relation with music start by listen to myself.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting what you're saying, because aren't we just in a way victim of the speed that is required from us right now? Because when you think about it, like maybe like the most interesting music anyway happens when it's not forced. So why do you think we think that we have to, when actually maybe like it's not the right strategy at the end of the day? Maybe the best strategy is actually to do it when your body tells you it's the right moment to do it. Isn't that the best time to make music anyways, you know?
Yeah, but it's definitely a tricky question, because actually my vision of the market is we need to deliver a lot, and a lot of music isn't interesting. I mean, I don't want to say something bad about other producers, stuff like that, but
you can.
The
It doesn't
thing
matter.
is, there is a lot of music without soul, you know?
Soul. Yeah.
Because it's okay, we need to deliver, but how is possible to deliver music with soul every time? It's impossible. So people, I mean, most of the producers nowadays are more focused on the aesthetic of the music and don't think about the meaning of the music. So, I mean, nowadays it's kind of an obligation to work like that if we want to perform, but for me it's really important to make music with a soul, you know. For example, as I said,
aligned with your soul, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying again what I was saying. I released a few tracks last month, but now I stopped because I wanted to take time to think about something which is making sense for me. I want to make a new track which is making sense for me. And actually it's funny because yesterday I had the idea I will talk about this. So now I can do the track and I can definitely release that track, and this track will get a full meaning. And it's definitely interesting to think in this way, because the difference is, you know, and I've got a good example about that, you know. I was playing for a party 3 weeks ago or something like that, and there was a lot of DJs playing, and the music was so flat, you know, music without soul, definitely. And I started to play, and you know, it's not maybe the tracks that people expect nowadays, because I was looking for old tracks, but all of the tracks have some meanings, you know. And at the end of the day, I get 3 or 4 new bookings because I was different. But it's normal. I put emotion into the music. I put emotion into the mix, and I select music with emotion. So my point is kind of schizophrenic, because if you want to exist, you need to produce a lot of music, to release a lot of music, but you cannot put soul into a lot of music. But at the end of the day, if you do less with soul into the music, people will retain your music. They will remember your music because the emotion will touch them and the music will enter into their life. So at that moment, okay, you can produce music with a soul, people will listen once. If you produce music with soul and that touch people, people will listen back to the music.
I totally agree, and that is the reason why I'm doing this podcast, is to remind people that actually the key is alignment and not extreme volume and like chasing trends. Because basically, you know, your approach to music is amazing because you're starting with a story. And what I've seen online from like the ones who have the best actual results from like short form content and stuff like that, it's people like you who start with like a story, but they start with the visual story and then they create the track. So like the things that are actually like working in terms of music, well, there are two things. There are the things that we see where it's like just a TikTok dance and a guy like doing nothing in front of his computer and it just goes viral. Okay, that's one thing, and that's maybe why we think like we have to do that. But then like I see also tons of other artists who are killing it because they actually start with a story and they think of the whole brand video story before they make the track, and then they make the music based off that. So in your case, I think that you could be like super powerful on social media. The ones that are actually winning right now are people like you, if that makes sense. So you just have to like find a way to, I can help you with that. I will show you anyways after the podcast. But so it's interesting what you said, because yes, like you played and everybody just played like flat. It was no intensity, no soul, like just, you know, generic kind of thing. You played with your soul, and people were like, wow, this is different, we want to book this. Like you brought added value to the party, right? So I think it's still alignment and still winning. I think soul is still winning. It's just that maybe the younger generation might just also be attracted to things that are like really too familiar to what they've already seen, and so everything became so familiar and so familiar and so familiar and a copycat of everything. Then like they only expect the same stuff. But actually what works also is like standing out and doing things in alignment, and that works. I'm pretty sure that alignment will always work. You just have to find the right way to communicate and market that to people, and you prove it with the set you had, and you got bookings from that, and the other ones no. So next question, you have 1 year left. Music day and night, or actually enjoying the world?
Music day and night.
Yeah,
definitely music day and night. You know, I mean, I'm doing this since long time, and I cannot do different, you know. Yeah, definitely music day and night.
Okay, interesting. Your last breath needs to be music.
Indeed.
Let's remove money from society. Your fridge is full every day. What do you do?
But actually, I do exactly the same that I'm doing at the moment. It's really interesting because, you know, again, before that break I made, like in 2018 or something like that, I was making music for getting booking. So that means I was following the trends, stuff like that. But after that, I was thinking about, okay, Antoine, what are you doing? Are you happy about what you are doing at the moment? And I said no. So I'm doing music in a really wide range of style, you know, because I mean the style is important to support the story. For example, I made a track talking about the social media, my point of view, of course, of the social media, and I use breakcore because breakcore makes sense to talk about social media due to the information speed. So my idea was, okay, I need to use that. So it's kind of tricky because I do really everything: techno, house, hip hop, breakcore, even classical music, because the style to me need to support the thematic. But the problem is, I've got some problem with my partners. They are saying, Antoine, you need to focus yourself on one style. And I don't want to do that, you know? So basically, it will be more easier for me if I was following the trends and making melodic techno or just regular techno, you know, stuff which are working nowadays. But I don't want to. So I'm acting actually as if my fridge was really full.
I appreciate that because I fucking hate that. Everybody wants to put you in a box. The manager will tell you, you have to be one thing and you cannot be multiple things. People need to be, you know, and you know what? I feel like it's actually kind of false, because when I talk to people messaging me on Instagram or stuff, that people who follow me, they're like, look, whatever you do, we're happy with it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not really expecting me of making the same stuff. So I don't think people expect so much the artist to make the same exact thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But maybe the marketing kind of world, maybe that makes sense, you know, because algorithm works like that. Like, you have to have a podcast channel, you have to have like a music channel, you have to divide your stuff, which makes sense. So then content spread that way. But just be yourself, you know, that's more powerful than just like limiting yourself to one thing.
But you know, the problem is the marketing is really more easy to market something in a box than market something really wide, you know. That's easy because that's the problem with my agent at the moment. He say, okay, I've got some difficulties to put you in parties because they want techno, and okay, you do techno, but you do some different stuff, so I cannot put you there. It's so easy to say, okay, to do only that, I can sell you because they want that.
It's sad.
I don't know if it's sad. I mean, because
it is sad because that's not what you want.
Yeah, but as your podcast is talking about alignment, if you are aligned to the fact that okay, you will do a wide range of styles, there is no problem at all. Because the thing which is more important to me, and nowadays, and again, I've got 41, 42 in a couple of months, is that I need to do what I want to do, and it's like that. And if I don't make money, it's okay.
Yeah, alignment first. So it is sad that people, expect you to do like something that you don't want. But at the same time, when I hear like people like Skrillex, even when they started, it was not, yes, it was like dubstep sound design, but it was like Skrillex, but he was not only doing like 145 BPM stuff, it was every BPM. But the whole sound design was just consistent though. But he was doing drum and bass, dubstep and tech house and whatever, like more housey and more like electro, you know what I mean? It was like all over the place. So I don't think an artist is just about genre. I think an artist is about the brand, meaning when I say brand, I mean identity. It is what it is.
It is what it is. But you're right, the brand is really important nowadays, and the storytelling is important nowadays. And what is difficult for young artists is just actually to understand what he is as an artist, what are the values, what are the aesthetic affinities, what are the global vision about his project, because a lot of people are just making music, starting music without taking the time to think about
their sound,
themselves, who they are,
Yeah, of course. And it takes time also.
It takes time, definitely. It takes time. And that's
you probably know now at 41 who you are more than like when you were 25,
Yeah. I mean, when I was 21, I was just a drunk addict or something, I love party.
Yeah, me, it's the same. What's one decision you regret because it wasn't aligned, if there's any?
I don't have any regrets. I mean, I always did something I'm aligned with. Even the time when I was making music following the trends, I was aligned with that, So it just after that, I make a point on myself, and I was thinking, okay, I'm not aligned, I will change. But I always,
it made sense at the moment.
Yeah, and I've lost a lot of engagement and contract with that, because I remember once, a manager told me, okay, Antoine, you need to make Turkish style music in techno. What? No, I mean, I don't have a problem with the Turkish style music, but the thing is, I'm not Turkish, it's not my culture, I will not go into this. So I've lost a huge contract with that, definitely a huge contract. But even with Mau5trap, if I remember well, they wanted me to move into EDM music, but this is not me. So I said no, So I've lost a lot of opportunities, but I always kept the alignment in my life.
Nice. What is one of like lowest moment in life that actually made you stronger now, if there was any? Hopefully there was any, because it's actually, those moments are hard, but they turn out to be good.
Actually, it was that period when I started to change my vision of music, like in 2018 or something. I was with the girls for 10 years or something, but it was kind of not working anymore, so I left. And I went lost, because it was kind of harsh. And I was living, I was talking with you about that just prior the podcast. I was living into a squat, with a lot of drug addicts surrounding me and stuff like
a CrackHouse.
Yeah, CrackHouse. Yeah, I was definitely living in a CrackHouse. It was okay. I was not a crackhead or something, but this was really hard for me because I was in this context of drugs, poverty, really strange kind of stuff. And I had to think about myself, I had to think about myself. Okay, Antoine, do you want to live like that? What kind of music you want to do? It was really a hard period, but I learned a lot of myself at that moment. And after that, I was able to realize, okay, now I want to do music with sense and a soul into it, because I lived this experience, which is really intense. And so I learned about myself, about my ability to live something like that, And at the same time, I realigned myself into the underground, because I was always into the underground music, but way more into the underground after that, because I lived into the underground kind of lifestyle, So this period was really, really difficult, because I was separated from my girlfriend. I was isolated in this crack house. I had no money at that moment, it was difficult. I remember I've got a friend which was giving me food, stuff like that, because I wasn't going into a crack house for the fun, because I was at crack house because actually it's the only place I can
could afford.
So it was
that's a crazy story, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy story. But to be honest, I don't want to talk too much, but I had in life, definitely.
Same. It's still an amazing story, because I think those are the moments in life that are crucial, you know what I mean? Like, I think that from my perspective in life, I know that I have taken like way more risk than most people around me, whether it was like leaving Belgium, going to the US with like $800 on my bank account or whatever, you know what I mean? Like going broke multiple times, failing multiple times, stuff like that. The people who haven't taken these risks are the same people again today, with the same mindset, repeating the same stuff. They have the same opinions. They haven't evolved from like 15 years ago. Nothing has changed in their life, basically.
Definitely, if it's everything okay, why making changement or change? You know what I mean?
But they will not take the opportunity to break the comfort zone either, So I think at taking those risks of like maybe actually being broke and living in a crack house, like it might look bad, but actually maybe it's an opportunity and a risk to be taking. Let's go like more deep, how you grew up as a kid and stuff like that. The question is, how was like your environment when growing up? How was your creativity seen in your family, basically? And did you feel encouraged or misunderstood?
I mean, I had like a cool childhood, a normal childhood in a middle class, And the thing is, regarding creativity, I wasn't surrendered about creativity, But I started music kind of young, like at 6 years old, more classical music, At 13, I started DJing. And at the beginning, I was totally misunderstood. Totally misunderstood. But I continue, and something kind of funny, at 15 years old, I had like an annex into my house, and I created like a club into that annex, There was a DJ booth, there was
like a guest house.
It was a barn. It was kind of cool because all of the not kids, because we were young people, like 15 years or something like that, from all the neighborhoods went into that club. And so I was playing all day long, and we had parties and stuff like that. It was kind of great, but I was still misunderstood. So I always had support from my mom from a certain point, but after that I continued to music. After ultimately my family understood that okay, now he know what he is doing, so we maybe don't understand exactly what he is doing, but we understand what he's doing. And I've got a lot of respect for my mom because
they started trusting you.
They started trusting me because they were seeing that okay, now it's serious, And I've got a lot of respect for my mom because when I started to produce, every day, every morning into the car, she was driving the car to drive me to the school, and I was putting my music I produced the day before. The music was horrible because I was just beginning, so it was kind of minimal music for 10 minutes a track, and there was no arrangement, there was, it was crazy. And my mom support every morning my shitty music like that, It was kind of cool. And after that she was definitely supporting me because when I was playing she was coming and dancing with my friends, stuff like that. It was pretty cool. So yeah, at the beginning it was strange, because I'm not into a creative family to get okay, Antoine, what he's doing is mixing music, producing music, what he's doing, and parents can get fear from that definitely, because at that moment I can tell that it was late 90s, so it was really underground, there wasn't that much DJ that we have nowadays, to be DJ at that moment you need to buy some tables, you need to buy your mixer, you need to buy your records. It was really way different
game.
Different game. So I assume that nowadays if a kid starts to say to his parent I want to be DJ, maybe they have more tools to help him. At that moment it was definitely the forest.
What did you feel that you were missing back then?
When I was 13 it was curfew, definitely, because it was kind of strange to me to play in parties, but the curfew was like 11 or midnight. And I had to go home. So it was interesting because I was still playing, like for warm-ups, stuff like that. But I had to get back at home for midnight. And after that 1 hour, and after that 2 hours and stuff. But it was difficult at the beginning because to get some spot, I need to leave some option to the clubs, But I managed that. So the curfew was kind of a problem. And actually, something which was really missing is, and actually, I think it's still missing nowadays. It's some guidance. Guidance, yeah. Someone,
but like from your parents that you were missing that.
From anybody, because
you never had guidance.
Yeah, definitely. Because I got my records, I got my turntables, and so I play. So by myself, I was knocking at the door, sending demos. It was still on tape and stuff like that. I was sending demos, stuff like that. But nobody was there to tell me, your next move is this, your next move is that, because the business works like this, the business works like that, And so I think it's even nowadays, and it's even more difficult nowadays because there is this strange, vicious social media thing, A guy which is starting to producing music nowadays need guidance, and there is no guidance. There is no real school or stuff like that where we can say, the music industry works like that, you need to work like that. When you go into the music industry, you're by yourself. Eventually you find some good partner, but this is kind of tricky also because there is good partner and there is a lot of people which are just there to do whatever they do. I'm a manager but they do nothing or stuff like that. So you need to find the right people as well, and it's kind of difficult. I was telling you that just prior the podcast. If I had to get back and to say, should I do that as work? I said no, definitely no. I do something else. I will do music because I love to do music, and it's important to do music, but not professionally.
It would stay a hobby, yeah. That's what I felt when I quit music. I was like, I don't want this to be my work. And then I did the business stuff, learned so many things, grateful. But now I felt like I was missing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like back to like, maybe I still want to do this my work again.
Yeah, because it's exciting.
Yeah, because I guess like when you're meant for that, it's always calling you,
Yeah, of course, definitely.
So, but I do understand because we get burned out from the whole expectation and the whole standards we have to put in for the business to work as an artist. We get tired from it. I guess like we need breaks. Then we can return if we want to. But I think it's like with everything. How do these people do like working the same job in the entire life? Like I think they're just crazy, bro, in some way,
Yeah, I assume, yeah.
They're just not listening to themselves. So I feel like maybe it's just because you're listening to yourself, and I think it's a good thing. I'm the same, like I've always done exactly what I love doing when I loved it, until I did not love it anymore. Each time if I don't have the love, which is the drive, I don't do it. One deeper question again, like who did you want validation from the most when you were growing up?
My godfather, which is kind of tricky because he never validated me, so.
Interesting. Do you think that still plays a role today as to who you are then?
No, I think I made peace with that.
And what did it create then that you were aware of?
He's someone really Cartesian and got a good business, and he wanted to me to make studies to work with him and to his business, stuff like that. But I said no, I want to make music. So it was kind of difficult. And I remember once it was kind of crazy because I had like a side job to his company, and I stopped the side job. He made me come into his office. He told me, okay, now you take you study law, and then you do my plan, and then you will work with me, etc. And I said no, I want to do music. And he told me, if you are a musician, we knew it.
If you were meant to be musician, we would know it. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So he doubted you.
Yeah, definitely. But after that, I made the tour of the world. So
you toured the world. So you
Yeah.
proved him wrong. Do you think there's still a part of you that's still trying to prove something?
No, not nowadays. I mean, since 2018, when I made this point of myself, I definitely work for myself, and I don't want to be validated by anybody. You know, definitely not.
Yeah, and probably those phases where we are trying to chase the trends and stuff like that, we're trying to prove, but the most aligned we are, the less we have to prove.
Of course, you're right, because that's something I tell really often to my students. The moment that because a question that my students are asking really often is, when do you think the track is ready? But I said the track is ready when you feel it's ready. The track, you don't need to be approved by anybody, because if you made the track as you are happy about it, you have your own validation, and then it's your call. That's all.
Totally. Yeah, I think the technical aspect of it, we do not care. At the end of the day, what you need to put in the music you make is what you said, your soul. Trying to make sure that creating a piece of music that just makes sense to the human being you have become until right now.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And the technical aspect actually is not important. The technical aspect is just some tools to create the emotion. And
to express, yeah.
Yeah, it's just tool. The technical aspect is only tool. That's all, you know. And something is quite funny is that I'm explaining that to my students as well. When we are starting to produce, it's kind of crazy because we are thinking, I need this plugin, and actually the beginners doesn't know how work this plugin, but this plugin will make my sound great, you know, and stuff like that. And I need to try new technique. But I was just explaining, you know, if you want to make Sky and Sand for Carl Brenner, you just need sampling, drums programming, mixing, that's all.
Yeah, the most simple stuff are the best. Like, I think that here's the thing. We're all unique as artists. The way you're gonna approach music, which can be more technical, is also part of your identity.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess, like, it needs to make sense based on who you are. Because, you know what I mean? Like, whatever the musician that are more technical than others, but they're truly that. And you can feel that if they're truly that, then you can feel the soul behind the technique. Other artists who are less technician but are really aligned with the artist they are. Say like we take like Jack White, which is like not really technical but like really pure, you know, Jack White, and then we take like a more technical artist, John Scofield or something like that. Like it's more technical and stuff, but it's still like this guy breathes that, you know, he has his own phrasing, he has his own musicality, like that makes sense. But when you're trying to be technical to be like someone, then you're actually not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that is something that I feel like I'm unaligned with, is that I understand everybody can do music if they want, but the artists that I'm actually really about, feel that makes sense to me, are the ones who are consistent, you know, and with that artistic vision, like whether it's technical or not, you know what I mean? There lots of people are trying to copy, and you can feel it directly, and they don't really have like some kind of like trademark, because they trying to be like someone, you know what I mean? It's a lot like that. It's missing the true shit.
You're totally right. And you know what? It's because there is no guidance at the beginning. I mean, the most important part when we are starting to make music is to understand ourselves. If we understand who we are, we can say, okay, I'm a technical guy, I'm a blah, 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 blah. But you know, there is a mix or stuff like that, you know? I don't know if I can share you something on the screen, but I've got this map, you know, and this is DKA. All the values, all the aesthetic.
Nice, yeah. You have like, this is your system, like this is the algorithm of DKA.
Exactly, but this is really important because at that moment...
True.
I know myself, so I know the music I will produce, and I've got this point of view on the subject I will talk about into the music. And people are not thinking about that because a lot of people, not all of the people, but some people start to make music only on aesthetic basis. And okay, let's do music, let's put a beat, let's put that, let's do that, let's do that. And you know, the most of the time, they will be lost into the music. They will not finish the track because they don't have a goal. So the most important to me is to understand who we are, and after that we can start to make music. And that's why I totally agree about what you said. Some people are more technical, and they are really technical because it's themselves.
Part of them. Yeah, it's part of themselves.
Or some people are more, I don't know, more
less technical.
Less technical, or
but they're so themselves that it's so cool. Anyways, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's the key to be genuine.
I'm thinking the way I approached music when in my 20s, like we're wasting so much time on the wrong things because we're trying to be what we're not.
Yeah, definitely. Because the problem is at that moment when we are like a beginner, we need to prove ourselves to ourselves. So that's kind of crazy because we are not satisfied about the track, because we are not validating our track, because we don't know who we are. So we don't know what we want. So we just want to be competitive on aesthetic purpose. And so it's never good enough because we are listening and making comparison with our star producer we like and stuff like that. But we need to remember one thing. There is 2 points. There is the technical process and there is the creative process. And so the thing is, the technical process of a track we can find out, you know, it's kind of possible. But the creative process of a track is totally impossible because we don't have the same life and the same influence that the people we are listening to. So the problem is, because we are talking about flat music and people we are just like kind of copycat and stuff like that, they are always trying to copy something which is already past because the guy is way more far into his technical process and way more far into his creative process.
What you're trying to say is that influential ecosystem, you know, of the artist you're looking up to, makes sense for him. When you're trying to copy this whole influential ecosystem, that does not make sense because it makes sense because of who he is. Now you can have him as an influence, but you can't have him as your whole influence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just copying.
And it's impossible to copy because the guy that you are trying to copy is already too far, way more far into the future than you.
That's why like this thing is alignment with Highbloo. Once again, it's because the key is alignment. Trends are created because there was something that was aligned at some point, that was like spontaneous, that was, you know, and then it becomes a trend and then everybody copies it, but it does not come from copy.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like when you, like since we make music, we've seen people coming in and new stuff coming in, you know, you'd have like the Headbanger era with Justice and stuff, and then you would have like Flume, and then you would have like whatever, you know what I mean? Like each time new things coming up. These guys came with new shit, and then they created their own scene, and then everybody was like, whoa, wow. But actually, like the people who actually like were part of the scene, it made sense for them probably because they were like, oh wow, this is like really resonating with me. Like I can finally, you know, have some angle where I can express myself because it gets all my influences together and stuff like that. But really, just like trying to chase what's not yourself, it will just not work. Anyways,
so that's totally true. We need to put something on the market, you know, something a plus on the market, because everybody, I mean, there is a lot of music which are kind of the same, which is releasing every day and stuff like that. But if you want to make the difference, you need to put something in addition. And so that's why we have to call about, the philosopher Nietzsche. He was talking about the Dionysial part and the Apollonian part. So the Apollonian part is all we know, the aesthetic, the classic aesthetic and stuff like that. The Dionysial part is more experimentation and stuff like that. We need to find a right balance between both to get something that people are familiar with, but with a plus, which is the experimentation on it. And this is really important because only ourselves can do that, because we are all different. We have all our life, with all the influences. So we are unique. And so the only way to reach that goal is to be centered on ourselves.
Nietzsche was saying that.
He wasn't saying that. He was just talking about the fact that there is in art the Dionysial part and Apollonian part.
And you made connection.
Yeah, made the connection. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, dude. That was an amazing podcast.
But thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, guys. Every Wednesday on Twitch and YouTube, the Highbloo podcast. Next one next Wednesday. Ciao.